Hello, it's me, Jonica. I'm here, as you can see. I have been tucked away in my home and working on some new art projects and things like that. This is a sneak peek right here. This little chunk of it, I will most likely show it to you in its entirety when it's finished because it's looking pretty cool so far. But yeah, that's why I've been kind of away from YouTube for a little bit, just working on other things. And I also got a new dog. We found him on the freeway. Poor little, he's like a Chihuahua. He was all bloodied and hurt on the freeway, so we have been saving him. There's an airplane. Anyways, I've been spending like the past month hanging out at the vet's office, and he's been sitting in a shelter and waiting because our shelter was filled to the brim. So we were just waiting, and he's ours now, and he's here. He's been here for about a week, and he's still a little bit sick, but he's bouncing back. He's young, he's good. So that's where I've been. I wanted to make this video to kind of explore the topic of, you know, coming into witchcraft. I have a list of things here, and quite frankly, I've started this video a million times, and I want it to be more to the point and be like, here's my list of things, but then I want to talk about every topic for like 3 hours. So you'll have to excuse me if it's a little rambly, and it's not like, you know, here's the steps to be a new witch, because the reality is that there's no right way to do it. I mean, there's definitely wrong things you can do, which sounds scary, but like, you know, being like a white person, I'm just like gonna go and practice a bunch of clothes practices that are like 1000% not for white people, and just like take away the meanings of everything that they've been doing. Like, there are certain things that you can do that are not correct, and then there are certain things, honestly, if you keep to yourself and you do your research and know the origins of the practices that you're doing and the beliefs that you have, then you make the right decisions, mostly. You know, if you're not selfish and you're not willing to take away something from other people for your own personal gain, and that includes with your magical practice, then, yeah, I mean, you're generally okay. So, yeah, so just as like a, you know, thing to look out for, there's a lot of witches out there who say, okay, this is exactly how to be a witch, and if you don't do this, you're not a witch, sorry. If you don't have a beautiful book shadows, if you don't, you know, if you aren't initiated by a high priestess, or, you know, if you're not religious as attached to your witchcraft, if you're a male, you can't be a witch. There's all these stupid bullshit rules that people put around magic and magic practice. And let me explain something really simple, because I am a person who finds the roots of my beliefs in things that are tangible, and that typically goes back to things like science and math and things like that, things of the STEM nature. That's where I'm finding my beliefs are rooted, because those things are much easier to have a really decent idea of how it works, because we can see it, you know, like, we can see, like, elephants. We know a lot about elephants because we can look at them, we can touch them, we can lick them, we can sniff them, we can watch them, we can track them. We have plenty of different tools to do that. We can take x-rays. If they die, we can do autopsies. We can see everything, and we study over years and years and years and watch it, observe it, and we can see how elephants work based on years and years and years of tangible observations. Magic is mostly feelings. And, you know, our brains are something that we're still trying to figure out. That we have been, as humans, trying to figure out for hundreds of years. hundreds of years. We're trying to figure out, you know, do we have a soul? How does our brain work? What does the subconscious do? We have all these different intricacies, and magic hangs out somewhere in there. You know what I mean? So for people to say, this is exactly how magic is, when they don't have hundreds of years of tangible observations and evidence to support how they can know the intricacies of all of magic, is insane. It's insane. I have been, so I'm a theology major, which means that I like to study religion, and I am specifically interested in the philosophy and the questions that religion tends to ask. Like, does God exist? Do souls exist? You know, what is the point of us being here? Like, what is the meaning of life? And it has brought up lots of different questions, and the main thing that I have learned about, like, God or gods or lack thereof is that until you can meet God or gods or lack thereof, that you cannot possibly know all the intricacies of God. You don't know what they look like. You don't know the anatomy of a god. You don't know how they are on a bad day, how they are on a good day. You don't know. You couldn't possibly know. And so to say this is exactly how it is really quite egotistical. And that would be the first thing to let go of when you come into witchcraft, is don't assume that you know a goddamn thing, okay? Don't assume, because I don't. And that's why I'm telling you this, is because I see a lot of people, and I know it seems like, wait, that's weird, you're telling me something like you know it. I know, hold on with me for a second. It's just that I see a lot of people say this is exactly how you do it. Or I see a lot, like with my video with fairies, you saw that I was pretty confused. Why is everyone thinking fairies are really evil? But for me, my idea of fairies is they were really helpful. So again, it's not having tangible evidence and just being like, this is what it is, and I want to believe, and so I'm just going to put all my faith into this idea that I just made up. Like, there is power in your thoughts, but think about how if you put belief into something too soon, if you say, you know, only women are allowed to be witches, no men allowed, then that belief, it will have power if you have it. But what does that restrict from the rest of your practice? You know what I mean? If you say, you know, God doesn't exist, flat out done, bye, you know, and that's all that you believe, that belief will be strong. But how does that restrict you for the rest of your life? What if God did exist and you decided that he didn't? He or she, excuse me. I don't know for sure, right? You decided that they didn't exist, but they did. What are you letting go of? What are you blocking yourself off from? The best thing to do is to live in limbo, which is something that I did for a long time when I was floating around and not really knowing. I wanted to find, you know, my roots in some form of spirituality, and I didn't know exactly, and so I called it living in limbo, which is kind of like Schrodinger's cat, which, if you know of that experiment, it's, you know, Schrodinger's cat is in this box and there's poison in the box or whatever. Until you observe the cat is both dead and alive. And that's sort of like living in limbo. It's like Schrodinger's deity, it's Schrodinger's spirituality, is until you can observe, it both is and it isn't. And learning to be comfortable with magic is real and magic is not. Gods are real and gods are not. You know, and balancing between those two things, as much as it seems, some people will be annoyed at you with that, which I think is funny. They want you to be like, no, pick a side. But you don't have to. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. So that would be my suggestion, is to be open, like really, really genuinely open. And, you know, aside from acknowledging that, the other thing that you can do is research the hell out of everything. Read the shitty stuff, read the good stuff, and figure out, okay, let's put these into pile. If I'm reading about fairies, these are the things that I resonate with. These are the things that I think are complete bullshit. What are the commonalities here? Why do I love this and why do I hate this? You know what I mean? Start to discover who you are and where your beliefs come from. Because a lot of us grow up and we just believe things. We believe in Santa. We believe, you know, that the rain comes from the clouds. We believe all these different things because they're just there for some reason. And a lot of people, because, okay, well, everyone in my classroom believes in Santa, so it makes sense that I believe in Santa. Right? But are you just being a hive mind? Or are you actually developing your own experiences and your own wisdom by searching for those answers and discovering them on your own? You know what I mean? So when it comes to witchcraft, when it comes to magic practice, I would encourage you to discover. Think about everything that you have beliefs on. Just right away, just write it down. Do you think it's okay to curse? Do you believe in karma? Do you believe in blah, 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 blah? Write down everything and then look up, where did this come from? Where in the hell did karma come from? Where's the first instance that someone used the word karma? Where does this come from? Why is it believed in? How has it stayed in our culture for so long? Figure out the origins of the things that you say and act on, because you'll be surprised at, there are a lot of things that people have put into our mouths and we're just like, okay. We just believe it, which is kind of crazy. So, again, I could talk about that forever. So let's go about some general things. Documentation. Documentation is so important, I think. Whatever it may be. You know, some people use Books of Shadows and grimoires, and some people, like I'm video documenting. Some people can write on Facebook or Twitter or something like that. But to document is really important because there are so many things that you could be exploring and learning about when it comes to magic and witchcraft, and good lordy, you will forget. You will forget. It is impossible to know about every possible facet of witchcraft. There are so many freaking things out there to learn about. And the best thing for you to do, write it down. Write it down. Do anything. Speak it out into existence. Don't just read it on a Tumblr post and be like, oh yeah, now I know that. Because you won't. You won't. You know, like, just make sure you write it down. And you'd be surprised how far that can take you. You're writing shit down, and it's like taking notes for a class, and then after a while, you have a full notebook. And you're like, whoa, I did all of this? Yes, you did. You learned all of this. And on days when you're like, oh man, I'm not a good witch, I suck, you can go, oh wait, look at all this shit that I did, actually. You know, like, it doesn't matter if I don't even practice witchcraft or spells anymore. I learned all of this. I paid attention to all of this. Like, that's a really, really important tool to use down the line of, not to prove to somebody else, but to yourself that the space that you take up is worth the while. It's worth it. And it makes you a new person, and that's an adventure and endeavor worth taking. So, to touch upon the grimoire thing, a lot of people are nervous. I know I was nervous when I first had a grimoire. I got a sketchbook that had rip out pages on purpose because I'm like, if I hate the page, I want to take it out. And now, well, first of all, it must have been some sort of sign. My sketchbook fell apart. It was like new. And it was like metal rings around it, and they all like coming off. I was like, what the shit? So I took out all the papers, and I have this old field journal from when I did a science trip, and I just slapped it into there. So, like, let me see. Yeah, see, I have like pages, like, I just took out parts of my old book, my old grimoire, whatever, and just slapped them in here. And like, it was scary at first because I can't like necessarily like tear pages out of this because it's a sketchbook. But it was also pretty freeing because a lot of people go, oh, it needs to be beautiful. I have to make sure that it's beautiful. And like, it doesn't matter. Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, not everything you do has to be like the most amazing thing that's ever happened and a freaking masterpiece, and not everything has to have meaning. I did this for no reason, because I wanted to. It doesn't have any like, oh, I did this for good luck or to like call upon the deed. No, I just did it. And like, when you start to practice like just putting shit down for no reason, then all of a sudden you're filling up a notebook. And for me, I have so many notebooks that I'm like, okay, this one has to be perfect because I have to pass it on to my children. And I put so much anxiety into it that everything I did wasn't good enough. And now this, I mean, I'm so proud of this. Look at this, it's so big. I'm so proud of this. And I will do a Grimoire tour soon because it's so pretty. But my suggestion would be to fuck your magic up. Fuck it up. Just fuck it up. That's important. Just spill paint onto a page. Just write whatever comes to your mind. You can paint over it. You can glue shit on top of it if it looks truly terrible. It doesn't matter. Just whatever you do, just fucking do it. If it's fucked up, then sick. Awesome. Write about it. Do something different next time, but you're never ever gonna learn if you don't fuck it up first. You know what I mean? So for those of us who are more nervous of like, what am I gonna do with this blank book? Like, I don't even know how to start. I would suggest, I think it's Carrie Smith. This is, I've already painted on the cover. It's the Wreck This Journal. She creates a ton of different books, but they're all different things that she gives you prompts. That's what they're called. She gives you prompts and you do them. So this says, do a really ugly drawing. Use ugly subject matter like gum, poo, dead things, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? I haven't done this one. But do that and use it to kind of set a basis for how you write shit in your grimoire, because this is, you're supposed to fuck it up. I mean, I have a few. This one's called Mess, and it's just, I burnt it, and it's all like fucked up, and like, it doesn't look amazing, and I mean, I'm not like super proud of it or anything, but I like, at least I did something. You know what I mean? So, do that. Get Carrie Smith books and explore what it means to fuck up without anybody watching. Just you and your book. You know what I mean? So, man, my fucking camera is gonna run out of battery. So, I'm gonna, I want to talk some more, but let me do a part 2. I'm going to do a part 2 because there's still a lot that we can talk about. This is just really general, just sort of like getting shit written down and like telling people to fuck off. Like, fuck your magic up, and fuck off would be my ending advice. I guess I could have saved a lot of time if I just started with that. So, anyways, I'm gonna do a part 2 before this camera dies. And yeah, watch out for that. And if you have, you know, any questions or anything like that, hit me up. If you want to explore the idea of fucking your magic up more, hit me up. I'm excited to see. And my last question would be is, why do you need validation for your witchcraft, for your magic? Chew on that one a little bit. I'll talk to you guys next time.